Thank you so much for joining us online today. We so appreciate you checking out this message. We hope you enjoy it and are inspired to live more and more like Jesus Christ by His grace. If you would like to support the ministries of Rancho, you can do so at rancho.tv/giving. Set up a giving profile and a reoccurring gift. We'd sure appreciate that. Enjoy.
Summer's over. We're calling it today. I know the calendar says, hey, it's another few weeks down the road. But when people are going back to school, you can't call it summer anymore. Kids will get very upset. Why do I have to go to school during the summer? Just tell them it's not summer and then go to school. I hope you had a great summer. We certainly had a fun summer here with all the stuff, the camps and children's ministries and VBSs. And it's been an amazing summer here for sure. Every summer we do take a trip, and I'm sure you do as well, but every third summer we take a trip with my wife's entire side of the family. And this is all of her siblings. She's got 3 siblings and all their kids and all their kids' spouses, and it's just this wonderful thing. And we've gone to some amazing places. When the kids were younger, we went to Disney World a few times, and I know that is, adults' hell on earth, but for kids it's fantastic. Go to Disney World in the summer and you will know it is not good. But the kids do have a good time. We've gone to Cancun. 3 years ago, we went to the Rocky Mountains in Colorado, and it was absolutely incredible. This year, with all the enthusiasm in their hearts, my father and mother-in-law said, we are going to the Appalachian Mountains. Like, we're going where? We went to Cancun, Disney World, Rocky Mountains, all these we're going to the Appalachian Mountains. I could barely even find the state that we were going into. I didn't even know if it was a state. North Carolina, something. Anyway, there's the Carolinas. I'm sorry I'm offending you if you are from that area. Like, why are we going to the Appalachian Mountains? I just didn't get it. And it was just ravaged by a hurricane a half an hour ago, and they're still cleaning up. The entire place was completely flooded. It's actually very sad still out there. Like, why are we going to this place? And we stayed at a place, it wasn't even a house. I don't even know what it was. It wasn't really like a convention center or a youth camp. It was just this odd place, but we made it work. Why are we here? We didn't have a plan. There was no plan for every day. It's just, I think we'll do this, I think we'll do this, I think we'll do that. Like, what are we doing? Then I think it was Tuesday, maybe-ish. My father-in-law and mother-in-law said, we're going to go visit some Revolutionary War battlefields. I thought, okay, well, sure, we're here, and so let's visit the Revolutionary War battlefields. I didn't know that those battles went that far south. The famous ones are up north. And so we took a 2-hour drive to these battlefields, and along the way, my father-in-law is telling the story, connecting his lineage, his ancestors, with the Revolutionary War. And, of course, the kids, you would think they would want to jump out of the car hearing these stories because it's like, we are not in school. This is summer. Why do we need to hear about the Revolutionary War? But my father-in-law is telling these stories, connecting, his last name is Allen, connecting David Allen in North Carolina had this forging mill. And he had in a box some, I don't even know, smeg or smolt or something that came out of the Allen forging mill. And he had it in a box. And he was telling the story about this forging mill from the Allen lineage and how perhaps, in fact, very likely, the bullets and other metal that was coming out of that forging mill was likely supplying the militia who took down the Tories during the Revolutionary War at these 2 battlefields. And so all these connections were being made. And so, yes, all the stories were completely numbing the souls of the children that were in the car. It's like, okay, now I know why we're here. I know why we're here. Because this whole thing is deeply meaningful to my in-laws. And they try to make it as fun as possible for every generation. They're very wonderful, very generous, very amazing people. But this is why they were there, to connect this family heritage of the Allen lineage and the Allen ancestry from the Revolutionary War to right now. And so he took those, I should know the thing, but this is the thing. And he put it on the tomb of a Tory general that might have been taken down by a bullet that his great grandfather forged in that mill. This is why we're here. He's tried to go there 2 times before. The hurricane recently canceled that trip, and then he was very sick, the time they tried. So they've been trying to get there. He's 80 years old and trying to get there, and we got there. That's why we were there, because it was meaningful. And I'm hoping that over the course of this summer here at Rancho, we've had a meaningful experience. Because we've done a lot this summer, we really have. We've talked about a lot this summer, practicing the way of Jesus. And we've talked about some things that might seem on the surface to be ordinary and even mundane things like how to pray, how to read your Bible, how to practice the sacraments, how to worship, how to sing, and last week how to serve. So all these things that if you've grown up in any religious environment or the Christian church in particular, you've heard these things probably 1,000 times. And because we hear them so much, and they just might be ordinary things. Why Appalachia? Why do we read the Bible? Why do we pray? All these things that we've heard a lot. Why do we do this? Because they can be deeply meaningful experiences if we perceive them in a different way. So the Appalachian Mountains, it's not just, why are we there? It's like, this is a very meaningful part of my in-laws' history. And connecting all of these dots that we got to enjoy. So in retrospect, it's like, that was a deeply meaningful trip that we won't do again, but deeply meaningful trip, right? So I hope you've had a deeply meaningful summer. And today we're going to talk about how to live in community. This practice, this Jesus-like practice of how to live in community, because I do believe that among the most important things that Jesus came to establish is a new community, a different kind of way of relating to each other, a brand new community. Because the reality is that if we don't pay attention to being in community and living life in community, we will slip towards isolation. We will slip towards being alone. And there's been a lot of work done on the loneliness of America in particular. It's considered statistically, psychologically, research-based to be among the most lonely nations on earth, if not the most lonely nation on earth. And there's been a lot of study behind this. And there's a few things that keep popping up. One is that we are very individualistic as a culture, right? This whole Revolutionary War phase was about independence and freedom, right? Independence and freedom. And so we wanted to do our own thing. We were not going to be under a king. We weren't going to be told what to do. We're not going to be under these rules and traditions, of Britain. We were going to be on our own, individualism. And so, I love that because America has done amazing things because we are totally free to do what we want to do and create and invent and start businesses and solve problems, right? But a dark side of that individualism is that we can be kind of on our own. We're not communal. Eastern and Near Eastern civilizations are more communal. They think more in terms of us and we. The West thinks more about me and I, right? We're also addicted to technology. I've got 6 or 7 pieces up here. We always have tech, and we're always being drawn into tech. The number of tech addicted, like clinically tech addicted people in the U.S. is about 80%, depending on the study and the definition of addiction. But we are clinically addicted to tech. Now, it's an addiction that, also kind of runs our lives. And so, we need to be engaged in this stuff, right? But we're just drawn, and we try to stay away. I could stay away. I could totally, no, we're drawn. We are addicted to tech. And when we're addicted to tech, we're drawn into the screen and drawn into the content. And so we're more isolated. We're also performance-driven in the West. We're performance-driven. We value and celebrate performance more than we value and celebrate people. It's just the way it is, right? So just give you a little example. Social media posts. It's like, oh, hey, here's my daughter. Isn't she? She's just such a great person. No, it's here's my daughter who just won this, just did that, just rocked it in this, who is better than you and all your other stupid daughters. Right? We celebrate performance. We also celebrate beauty. We were making some real progress in this just not too long ago, just several years ago. We were making progress on this, that just celebrate actual human beings and not photoshopped and altered human beings, right? But just celebrate us. But that just clicked. It just went south. So we were making some good progress on a dime. I could probably blame some celebs and influencers, but I won't. But on a dime, okay, well, we're no longer celebrating just normal people. Here we are once again, elevating standards of beauty that no real human being can achieve. There's not a single human being on the earth who has ever lived who can achieve the beauty standards that we see all day, every day. Not one human being who has ever lived or who ever will live can meet these standards. And so we just draw on insecurity, and we're not going to get ourselves out there boldly and just be who I am and whatever. We got to go back, and we're not good enough, and we're not smart enough, we're not performing enough, we're not beautiful enough, and we isolate. We having fun yet? Here's a real kicker. This just came yesterday on my feed because they know I'm studying this week. So this article dropped in from 2024 data from the recent census. The most lonely metro area in the entire United States is Riverside area. That's us. I was shocked by that. And then immediately I do what I do, and it's like, okay, well, what's the source? I always criticize and whatever. What's the source? This can't be possibly true. How is it that Riverside, California makes national, news in being the most lonely, right alongside of Detroit, region in the entire nation? The loneliest region in the loneliest nation is us. That's shocking. So us in Detroit, we're linked. And this disconnect we feel, right? We feel in all kinds of ways. And it's not for a lack of people. There's people everywhere, right? I mean, we're surrounded by people. Lots of people here. Lots of people in our neighborhoods. Lots of people. We're in Southern California. There's people everywhere, traffic everywhere, right? Sometimes can't get away from people, but we're still lonely. We feel the ache of feeling on our own, feeling as though there's not support, feeling though, do I have real friends here? Will somebody truly be there for me if I'm totally honest, if I reveal everything I'm thinking, everything I've done, if I make a huge mistake? Do I have people, my people, who will be there for me no matter what? Are we alone? If you feel alone to whatever degree, you're not alone. We see a lot of characters in the Old Testament right there in our Bible. The Bible is very honest, very real, very transparent, and heroes of the Bible have expressed being very alone. Psalm chapter 25 puts it this way: someone who's in deep, deep turmoil, turn to me, God, and have mercy on me, for I'm alone and in deep distress. My problems go from bad to worse. Save me from them all. God, feel my pain and see my trouble. And some of you may feel this right now. I am deeply alone. I might have family, I might have work, I might have friends-ish, but I'm feeling by myself. And these troubles and these feelings just don't quit. God, would you feel my pain and see my trouble? And God says, I do. I feel your pain and I see your trouble. And how do we know that? Because Jesus also felt desperately alone. Jesus also was absolutely feeling abandoned. And here he is. We've talked about this a couple of times, but here he is hours before the cross. He's asking his 11 remaining disciples, one just betrayed him, right? He's asking his 11 remaining disciples to be, one's about to betray him, to be there with him, right? To be there with him in his distress. I'm going to go pray for a bit, but be here. I am deeply, deeply troubled. I'm in anguish. And so this is where he famously says, my Father, if it's possible, let this cup of suffering be taken away from me. Yet I want your will to be done, not mine. He's wrestling with God. Turns around to go back to his 12 disciples. And they're gone. They're sleeping. They've abandoned him. It's like, and Jesus is thinking, I'm alone here. I'm about to take on the darkness of the world onto my body on the cross of Roman crucifixion. I'm asking you, I'm literally begging you to stay here and pray and to be here with me. You can almost kind of hear Jesus' thoughts. I have given everything for you for the last 3.5 years. I've given you my life, my time, my career, my energy, my effort. I have served you in every possible way. I'm asking for an hour of prayer support and you fell asleep. He's feeling by himself. So he said to Peter, couldn't you watch with me even an hour? Jesus understands loneliness. Jesus experienced loneliness. And then hours later on the cross, even feeling the loneliness from God. My God, why have you abandoned me? This is his feeling. He knows what it is to be lonely. So how do we get beyond loneliness, to whatever degree you may feel it? Some of you probably, as the statistics are right, a small minority of you would say, I am so connected, I am so supported, I never feel alone or afraid of being alone, and truly, like, good for you. And I don't say that in any kind of snarky way, like truly good for you. That is awesome. That takes some energy, it takes some work, it takes some intentionality. Good for you. For everybody else, what's the pathway to feeling connected and living in community? I think, first of all, we need to truly just embrace that we are designed for community. We are designed to be together. There are species that are perfectly fine by themselves and need to be by themselves. I am very fond of our betta fish. When the betta fish came to our house as some kind of a sick joke, somebody just gave it to us and like as a prank. Now we got to take care of a betta fish. And then I looked up how long they live. Like this could be the rest of my life. And so here's this betta fish, and it's in a thing, and it's like, we'll just have to deal with it. And Aubrey, you feed it and whatever. So it's just become part of my thing every day. Me and the fish talk. We just have a little chat. But they're designed to be alone, right? So I talk to it because I'm designed for community, and the fish doesn't even look at me. Doesn't even look at me. So we are designed for community. Some species don't need community, like the betta fish or cats, right? Cats don't need you. They don't even want you. They use you. They use you. So, not a cat fan. But cats don't need anything or anybody, right? They do their thing. We need community. We have to have community. If we don't live in a community, and this is both figurative and literal, if we don't have community, we die. It's the way we are designed. And so, however God designed humankind, he did so knowing and designing us. We have to live in interdependent community. That's just the nature of our species. And it's not just a biological thing. There is a spiritual component. We need each other by design. What does God say in Genesis 1:26? This very odd Hebrew word, Elohim, is God in plural, but the core doctrine of the Old Testament is that God is one. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one. Yet there's a plural form of God in Genesis 1:6. So God is both singular, one, yet exists in communal relationship. And that's been a mystery for thousands of years. And, the most recent iteration of that is triune God, God as Father, Son, Spirit, and all kinds of work around that. But somehow, believing that the singular one God exists in eternal plurality or in eternal plural nature, in eternal community. So let us make human beings in our image to be like us. So our one but plural God living in communion made us human beings to also live communally. It's just the design. It's part of being made like God as we are wired to live in community. And so as you can't separate a plural God, you can't separate us from plurality. We need each other. And then in Genesis chapter 2, the Lord God said, it is not good for man to be alone. We need people. And so this whole, kind of creative story about how God gave us people and gave us families and then said, multiply and fill the earth with family and friends. And He said, I want people everywhere. I want people in every corner of this beautiful planet, right? We are not designed to be alone. But then you start reading the rest of the Old Testament and then you see this switch, right? God made us for community, and then you see this switch from community with God and community with each other to now transactional stuff and isolation stuff and rules and regulations and transactional stuff and kind of rote religious stuff. And so we see in Isaiah 29, later in the Old Testament, how the idea and the vision of community fell apart. Isaiah 29. These people say they are mine. They honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. And their worship of me is nothing but man-made rules learned by rote. God looks at the people in the Old Testament, this religious community, and he says, you've lost the initial vision of living with me in a relationship and with each other in a relationship, and now you're just checking the boxes. This is the thing we believe, and these are the things we do, and blah, blah, blah. And maybe if we do these things and believe these things and we're obedient to these things, then maybe God will bless me. We lose the heart. And so now here comes Jesus. Jesus comes on the scene, and he has a lot to correct. A lot to correct. A lot of the stuff that was lost in the Old Testament, this relationship with God and relationship with each other, this love-based vision of a world living in community together, was lost in judgment and lost in rote man-made religion. And so Jesus comes on board and he says, there's a lot to fix here. And he says, I'm going to create a brand new community where we go back to the heart of God to love each other and serve each other and care for each other and support each other. And not just us, our nation, our people, our ethnicity, our tribe, but the world around us, and including the most marginalized, the most outcast. Let's create a new community of love. John 13:34. God says, I'm giving you a whole new commandment, not the other stuff that's rote religion, right? But a new commandment, love each other, just as I have loved you. You should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. No more rote, man-made, checking the boxes transaction. God, if I do these things, will you bless me? And if I won't, you'll, curse me. And not believing I'm better than you because I follow this stuff and you don't. And I believe this stuff and you don't. It's like all that stuff divides. God initially says, unite. Be in community with me and community with each other. What this is called now in today's day and age is a sense of belonging. A sense of belonging. And if you look up a sense of belonging, you will see how research-based it is. There is science study, decades and decades of creating a sense of belonging, a sense that I have people. I am welcomed here. I'm invited here. I'm actually urged to be here. And when I'm here, I am not judged. I am not condemned. People aren't looking for the worst in me. People aren't labeling me. They're embracing me just as I am, even though we disagree. They're embracing me just as I am, even with my failures. They're embracing me just as I am, even with my quirks. They're embracing me just as I am, even if I fail. Even if I make mistakes that tear apart my life and my world, I have my people. They're going to be to my left and to my right, and they're going to pick me up, and they are going to make sure I have the strength to move on. That's a sense of belonging. I've done quite a bit of work on this, and a lot of this points back to Baumeister and Leary's research. I'm not going to get all geeky on this, but I totally wish I could. Here's their framework. It is absolutely in line with biblical truth. Human beings are universally, fundamentally, and pervasively motivated by a need to belong. That is, by a strong desire to form and maintain enduring interpersonal attachments. People seek frequent, effectively positive interactions within the context of long-term, caring relationships. That is as true of a statement as has ever been written. It is in line with the heart of God in Genesis 1 and 2. It is in line with the heart of Jesus in John chapter 13. We need a community, a true community. Baumeister and Leary go on to say this: the desire for interpersonal attachment may well be one of the most far-reaching and integrative constructs currently available to understand human nature. Then you get deeper into the science and you realize the destructiveness of not being connected, not having a sense of belonging. It is mental illness, depression, anxiety, cognitive decline. Because I'm 55 years old, my news feed gives me Alzheimer's articles. About every third article is an Alzheimer's article. And because I click on it, now they just keep coming. And so I dabble. And when I dabble in these articles, the same thing comes up. There are same things that come up every article, that if you're not in community, if you're not surrounded by people who love you and embrace you and accept you and walk with you in everything, your brain starts dying. We are wired for community. It's like the number one thing we can do to keep this brain alive is to be around people who love you and care for you, who champion you, and are there for you no matter what. And you know what it feels like. You know what it feels like to be around people who truly care for you. Your brain is no more alive than that. I mean, the world is just going and moving, and there's this interaction, even in North Carolina, in the Appalachian Mountains, and even in whatever we stayed in was, whatever that thing was. We're with family, right? And that family loves each other, and we're laughing and talking and sharing life. And there are, have been some recent disconnects that have now healed, and so there's just life there, in good and in bad. You're most alive, and the brain is most alive when we're with people in community. But you start pulling away from that, and you get more isolated. The brain just freezes. We're truly alive in community. We need community. If we're not, there's impaired self-esteem, emotional numbness, weakened immune system, increased conflict, increased extreme views. So the more isolated we get, we start going to extreme views because we dehumanize everything because we're not with human beings. And so it just goes to issues and right and wrong and me and you and reduced productivity, burnout. The list is endless, the consequences of not being in community. So where can we find a sense of belonging? Where can we find this thing that we all desire and need probably more than anything else? Well, we can find it in our family, so we'll call that family community. Ideally, our sense of community should be most felt at home. Ideally. I shared my story with you last week. I won't share it again. that I didn't find this in my family back then. I'm finding it increasingly, now, thankfully, in my side of the family. My wife's side of the family has it all. Whatever, beaver cleaver, whatever thing they're doing. Some of you are like, beaver who? I said, don't worry about it. Look it up. They are like the most idyllic family you could possibly imagine. It's a joy and a pleasure to be a part of that family. As mine is kind of healing, theirs is just dialed. Ephesians 5:21 talks about family dynamics. Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. That is a family dynamic that is firing right. Spouses submitting to each other, not, are you meeting my expectations? Are you doing what I expect you to do? And if you don't, I'm going to chirp at you, or, not punishment-based. No, everybody on eggshells wondering if I'm meeting everybody's expectations. They're going to make somebody mad, right? No terrible words firing back and forth, right? Submitting to one another out of reverence for Christ in the context of family, which Ephesians 5 and 6 is as Jesus gave himself for our benefit, we give ourselves for each other's benefits at home. That's ideal. My wife's family lives that ideal out. My family did not, but we're working on it. And working on it is good, right? We can find that sense of community even if our family is working on it, finding ways to repair what's broken, finding people in our family that we can most connect with and live in true, genuine community. That's our family. Then there's the friendship community. God has designed us to live in this friendship community. Proverbs 18:24 talks about various kinds of friends. There are the quote friends in plural. These are the friends who could even destroy you. They may be friends at work, friends in your neighborhood, even friends of your past, but that friendship hasn't been tested. There are people around, and you might have some common interests and some common goals, and you might be in common spaces, but are they real friends who are going to be there for you no matter what? Or is it a friendship of convenience that says, hey, as long as we get along, we're getting along. But if something goes sideways, I'm out. If I need to kind of step over you to get something I want or need, I will step over you and I will step on your neck and twist as I do that, right? These are friends. And we really never know how many quote friends we have until it hits the fan. But these quote friends are okay, right? They're fine. We need them. But singular, a real friend sticks closer than a brother. So we may have quote friends by the dozens, untested friendships. May or not be real, may or not be genuine, but if we have one friend that sticks to us the way a sibling should, where no matter what, I'm here for you, and I believe the best in you, I see the best in you, and even if you make a mistake, I'm going to be there to lift you up. Even if you offend me, I'm going to forgive you. At your weakest points, I'm going to be your strength. I mean, that's a friend that sticks closer to a brother. To have one of those is to be blessed. One. And for you to be that to somebody is even more incredible than that. These are friend communities. Now, my wife and I had just celebrated 32 years, and we, are always kind of thinking back on the life we had and looking forward to the life we will have. And part of that are the various seasons of life that we've lived. A lot of that is based on, this church. A lot of it is based on our kids' ages and seasons of life. And so, we always do some reflection. And thinking back, there were times in our marriage where we felt deeply connected to friends and times we felt isolated. During our young career as youth pastors here, we had amazing friends, co-workers who were friends, volunteers in the youth group who we were deep friends with. We were involved in a small group here at Rancho Church, deep friends with that and friends with them, many of them even still today. We were deeply connected. No matter what happened in our lives, we had people to our left and to our right, deeply connected in friendships. Well, then things change, right? Some people moved away, seasons of life changed. I became the lead pastor, so now people I was co-workers with, I was kind of their boss. I don't like being the boss all the time, but sometimes you got to be a boss, and so that kind of changed a little dynamics here and there, and it just got funky. There was just a season of funk, and there was a time of vulnerability that Jenny came to me, and she was in tears and says, I just don't feel like I have any friends. And there were people that loved her for sure, but just a funky time. And she confessed that to me. And then I got to thinking in my own soul searching that, I don't really have many friends either. I was super busy, dysfunctionally busy, But I didn't stop and think, well, yeah, we're not as connected as we used to be with a couple friends, and we're not as connected as we used to be in our individual friendships. And so we said, okay, well, we're going to solve this. And we kind of laughed about it then, and we laugh about it now, that, hey, we've got to be like kids again who are going to a brand new high school, and think, all right, it's time to make some friends. It's time to go to people and say, hey, you want to play with me? Can I hang out? Can I sit at your table? It's time to make some friends. Because if we did nothing, we would just keep retreating into more and more, kind of lonely zone, and we'd have each other for sure, which is all great. But the science says if you don't have friends outside of your marriage or outside of your family, you're going to start getting a little grumpy. You're going to start snapping at each other. We need broader community. And so we did. We go out. Hey, you want to hang out? You want to play? So, I have play friends. And I have eating friends, and I have church friends, and so does she. And so we're able to say, yeah, we are well connected. I got to move quick. There is the religious community. Humankind, I have come to find out recently, I think needs religion. Humankind just needs religion. We need the community that only religion brings, because this world is very chaotic, and this world is very mysterious, and this world is very complex, and there's not a lot of answers out there as to why stuff happens, and why there's evil, and why we hurt each other, and where did we come from, and where are we going, and what's the meaning of life. There's all these things, right, swirling out there. And only religion can kind of give some answer in that space. And so we all have religious traditions and religions that we cling to. And even people who are not necessarily in a formal religion, and I've met several, and several go to this church actually, that I met one just last hour. I'm not religious, atheist, agnostic. That's not it's non-religious per se, but it is a community. It's a philosophical community that is very much like a religion. You know what I'm talking about? As an atheist, you still have invented answers to where did we come from and where are we going. You have those same answers to those same questions. They just don't sound religious, but it is philosophical. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. We need that. We need that. And so religious community has a sense of identity, right? We have our God who's better than yours, or the right God, the right way to believe, and you don't have the right way to believe, and we're going to heaven and you're not, and we're blessed and you're not, and this is what all religions do, most of them. This is what the Old Testament does, right? Deuteronomy 14:2. This is the vibe of the Old Testament. Here's Israel saying, we have been set apart as holy to the Lord your God, and he has chosen us from the nations of all the earth to be his own special treasure. This is the feeling of every religion. I got a bunch of buddies. Hey, we are the right religion, and we have all the right beliefs, and we're the true religion. And oh, that's great. And in the back of my head, I'm like, well, you need that. I know it sounds kind of judgy, but we just need that kind of identity, right, to fill in a lot of the gaps. That is the religious community. I would say, broadly speaking, humankind kind of needs that sense of camaraderie. But here's the punchline. Then we're closing the song. There's a Christ-centered community that's distinctly different than a religious community, and it is deep, and it is rich, and it is relationship-based with God and with each other. And I'm going to read Romans chapter 12 that Evan alluded to earlier, and then we'll close in this amazing song. I'm just going to read this kind of slow. It's a lot. Romans 12 is the vision of a Jesus-centered community, because Jesus didn't come to give us a set of doctrines to believe in and check the box. Jesus didn't come to give us a set of commandments to obey. He gave us the one to love each other the way he loves us. Jesus doesn't bring us a lot of religious practices. Jesus didn't come to form a new religion. Jesus came to create a new community in relationship with God, in relationship with each other, and a relationship that spills out to everyone everywhere and embraces everyone everywhere, right? And then he, through his Spirit, describes this community in Romans chapter 12 through the Apostle Paul, who says this. Let this really seep in. Don't just pretend to love others. Really love them. And you know what he means by that. Don't be a friend to be a friend. Hate what is wrong. Hate what hurts people. Hold tight to what is good, the good things that help people. Love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other. When God's people are in need, be ready to help them. Always be eager to practice hospitality, welcoming everyone in. Be happy with those who are happy and weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with each other. Don't be too proud to enjoy the company of ordinary people, and don't think you know it all. That's when you know he's not talking about a religious community. Don't think you know it all. Do all that you can to live in peace with everyone. This isn't just about us. It's not about our family and our friends and our church and our religion. It's about a Jesus-centered community that welcomes all, everyone. Living at peace with everyone, not dividing over our differences of politics and religion and belief and opinions and all the stuff that divides, not diving into this divisive, tech and media that is us versus them in every imaginable way, but moving past that and to say, we are committed to a Christ-centered community. What we call it around here is a community of Christ-like care. A community of Christ-like care. And we are trying in every way possible, imperfectly as it is, to practice that every day here at Rancho Church, to make sure every student at Rancho Christian School experiences that, and to make sure that our rescue mission Hope, has what they need in order to touch our neighbors who are most marginalized, most disaffected, and probably most alone. That community of Christ-like care is for everyone. Evan, we're going to sing a song called Unity. Perfect subject, right? And you brought the song to us, and it has these really powerful lyrics to start. I mean, get this. Just feel this. Aya, aya, aya.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. Aya.
And then
I think it comes
repeats aya, aya, aya again.
Yeah. Aya again. It's beautiful. I think it's out of Revelations. It says that the cherubim and seraphim are encircling the throne, and they're singing.
Aya, aya, aya. Okay, so that's a little worship joke there. But as it gets into the song, and I love the rhythm of the song because the rhythm is kind of like a walking cadence. There's some cadences in music that it's like a walking pace, and that's how I see it. It's like a walking pace in the song, and then it says, hey, let's walk together down a lonely street. So if we're walking life alone, let's walk with each other.
Yeah. And I love, too, the bridge of this song. It says, save us from this madness, heal us from this sadness, lead us to what matters, closer to you. And it's like the closer that we are pursuing after God and trying to act more like heaven, the closer that we are becoming to each other. And we're saying, hey, all the madness and all the sadness and all the crazy disconnects that we have, let's put that aside and lead us to what matters, to being closer to you, being closer to each other, lead us to that unity.
It's a fantastic song. I'm going to ask you to just stay seated during the song and just get these lyrics and get the cadence and get this vision of walking down the street together.
I wouldn't deny you if you asked me. I'd rather die than to blaspheme. But if I need a ride in your backseat, will you be there for me? See me on the path on your way home. Might need a night just to sleep on. But if I'm gonna dawn, would it be wrong? Will you be there for me? Will you walk with me down a lonely street? Talk to me, tell me what you see. Stand by me so the world will see you and me in the unity. You and me in unity. I will be your heart when the beat stops. We'll be the light when the sun drops. Holding on the stars to the treetops. That should be there for me. Will you walk with me down a lonely street? Talk to me, tell me what you see. Stand by me so the world will see you and me in a unity. Walk with me down a lonely street. Talk to me, tell me what you see. Stand by me so the world will see you and me in unity. You and me in a unity. You and me in unity. from this madness. Heal us from this sadness. Lead us to